All right, we are ready here on 107.1 FM with Straight Up. Not a bad show. DJ Killer Miller, thank you. Great show, DJ Killer Miller. But let's get ready to do some political stuff. But tonight we are going to be talking with the ladies, a little soft on the politics until they're off. Then I'm going to rock and roll, mind you. So spread the word. Straight Up is on.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockacrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cock-a-crow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cock-a-crow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. The naga jackass yard for fetch the load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokunani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just the right time to listen story or to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell some picnic are there with fright. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma Nancy, even Watamuma. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them long, long logi, now you got them bongolo. Long time got them long, long logi, now you got them bongolo. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them jug jug lamp, now you got them electric light. Long time got them jug jug lamp, now you got them electric light. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them broad broad bottom, now you got them tight tight straight. Long time got them broad broad bottom, now you got them tight tight straight. Long time got them broad broad bottom, now you got them tight tight straight. Long time got them broad broad bottom, now you got them tight tight straight. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before.
All right. Hey, guess what? Welcome to Straight Up on 107.1 FM. My name is Mark Benchap. Look, we see Garfield Collins. Good evening to you, Garfield Collins. I'm not sure which part of the world Garfield is in. Sometimes he's in Europe. Sometimes he's in Africa. Sometimes he is in North America, wherever he is. But hey, thank you, Garfield Collins, reminding folks to share the link. And what we do here on 107.1 FM is we only say share the link once, right? That's all. We don't say share the link more than once. We just do not say share the link. Once we say it, that's it. We're done with it. We do not keep repeating share the link, share the link, share the link. So I'm not going to repeat it at all. All right. But thank you, Garfield Collins, for saying share the link. All right. Good evening to all of you. My name is Mark Benchap, and welcome to Straight Up, right? Good. We have two women on this evening. You're familiar with them, right? If you're not familiar with Margaret Lawrence, Margaret Lawrence has been in your homes, in your vehicles, wherever you are, wherever. Remember a long time when you walk with your radio. Guys, don't get too excited. I know you want to see my face. You will see my face just now, but they're two beautiful women, professional women who have served the country. But let us stick with Margaret Lawrence. Margaret Lawrence, I remember a long, long time ago, everywhere I go, Margaret Lawrence was there. She's like a credit card. Back in those days, it was like a credit card. Now, I'm not going to say share the link again. I noticed somebody saying share the link. I'm just not going to say that again. But I appreciate if you do share the link, though. But I'm not going to keep repeating that. We just don't do that on this show at all. Good, Good evening. Now, back to Margaret Lawrence, all right? In case some of you who don't know, that is the lady on the left side of the screen, Margaret Lawrence. She is with us this evening. All right, so here's what. Let's ask our operator to just remove that for a second so you guys can see my face. Good evening to all of you and welcome to Straight Up. Thank you for sharing the link. We just don't repeat that on this show at all. And this is the final time that I'm going to remind you guys that we don't say share the link here at all. But we appreciate when you guys do share the link. Now back to Miss Margaret Lawrence. She has been around for like donkey years, so to speak. And I say this with all due respect to her. She doesn't look that way at all, but she has contributed tremendously in the area of broadcasting. She has worked at the Guyana Broadcasting Corporation. She has, like I said, she has been that voice on the radio sometimes when you're lonely. Margaret Lawrence is there on GBC. She is here with us. Let me see how many of you guys remember Miss Margaret Lawrence from GBC. You know her. She has been around. Let me see here. Collie Allen is saying what? I vote for Margaret Lawrence and Desiree to be recognized in Black History Month in Guyana. Oh, really? You voted? Actually, there's such a thing. We got to vote for that. I didn't know because trust me, I would vote for Margaret Lawrence any day. If Margaret Lawrence runs for president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, I will vote for Margaret Lawrence. Here she is. Good evening to you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mark. Thank you for your vote, but I think I'm too old for that.
No, you're never too old. Biden, look at Biden. Biden is way older than you. Nelson Mandela was way older than you. Donald Trump, way older than you. Come on, throw your hat in the race. You'll get my support. I may probably be your campaign manager.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. We're not talking politics tonight, are we?
No, we're not. I promise the people not to talk. How are you doing, Miss Lawrence?
I'm fine. I am so good. Thank God. I want to thank all my family, my friends, and the good people like you for supporting me throughout the years and supporting the ventures, the various projects that I'm on. So I am pretty good despite the COVID. We have had challenges, but we have overcome them, I think. I hope so.
So far, I'm glad that you put me in the category of good people because I remember those days, my younger days and your younger days at GBC. I was always wonder what went through your mind whenever I had to go into your office to be disciplined. But we're not going to talk that here, though.
Oh,
right?
yeah, we should. We should talk about when you did Man in the Street. We have to talk about Man in the Street. If our good viewers and our listeners to 107.
Okay, I tell you what, Miss Lawrence.
Yes.
I tell people do call you Maggie, and some people call you Auntie Maggie. But if you want to talk about Man in the Street before we get into you, go right ahead. Talk about Man in the Street.
Man in the Street. Man in the Street was a vox pop, we call it. And the people like Mark, the younger producers, were sent out on the streets to get the views of persons out there on a particular issue. So perhaps tonight we could have been talking about what do you think about the progress of the Masquerade Band. So you say, Mark, can you go out and do that 5-minute program? Hi there, Persina. Mikkel, how are you doing? So Mark is supposed to go out and get views from a variety of persons on the street. When Mark comes back with that 5-minute program, he's supposed to go into Studio B or into the control room with one of the operators and put together that program. And when you listen to it, you will then hear various voices, male, female, a nice mix, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to ask Mark, what did he do to produce such a program? Mark, you're on the spot. How did you produce Man in the Street back then? What did
I
you
went
do?
out, and that was many years ago. It was in 1992. I went out to Stabroek Market. My regular guy was Lightweight Kissoon. That's the brother
Yes.
You remember Lightweight Kissoon and lots of other vendors and so forth. I didn't do anything in the restroom or the bathroom of GBC. I didn't go in there and change up my voice or anything, Ms. Lawrence.
Oh,
I didn't do
yes.
it. Yeah.
Confession is good for the soul. Mark went into Studio B and changed his voice. There's only one other person I know who was capable of doing that very well, and that's William Bumper Harris. But Mark went into Studio B and he became Mr. So-so, Mr. Sue, Mr. Who, this person, that person, the other person, 6 different voices. I am telling you, he's excellent at that. And he put together the program. That's when he didn't want to go on the road by Lightweight Kissoon, by Stabroek Market, that you see in the background there. Confession is good for the soul, Mark. Let's hear you.
Those,
You do that.
probably it was when it was raining, though. But it was like 25, 27, almost 30 years ago.
Oh my
Gosh.
goodness. Oh, we had fun in those days.
Oh
Fun.
yeah, lots of fun, and you were a good boss, and in fact, your experience, you have a wealth of knowledge in that particular area, right? A wealth of knowledge, and I salute you for that. Let's bring on Miss Vanessa Kissoon because Miss Kissoon is here with us. Miss Kissoon, how are you doing?
Hi, Vanessa. Good night.
Good night, Miss Lawrence. How are you? Good night,
I am
Mark.
pretty good. You look fine, girl.
Thank you very much, and I must say the same about you.
Thank
You look
you.
fine and fabulous.
I hear you.
You know, Miss
And
Miss
happy
Kissoon.
Women's Day to you, Vanessa, before I forgot.
I didn't hear you.
Happy Women's Day to you.
Oh yes, and same to you in advance. We'll enjoy tomorrow. I hope you're pampering yourself tomorrow.
I will be pampered. I heard that.
Okay, before we get into all of that, though, and Miss Kissoon and Miss Lawrence, Margaret Lawrence is with us this evening. Amir Mohammed is saying James Sidney did Man in the Street in the 80s. Is that correct, Miss?
That is not correct. No. James Sidney did not definitely not Man in the Street, but My Bones and My Flute. He was an excellent reader of that at the Metal Halls book. My Bones and My Flute. Beautiful piece of
James Sidney did. I met him years ago, either in Guyana or New York City or somewhere. But he did something else other than that. This is James Sidney.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a fact.
Yes.
I noticed somebody is asking, Hazeline King is saying, Mark, you did that? Miss Lawrence is talking out your business.
That is true. That is-
So let's welcome Miss Vanessa Kissoon here again. Miss Kissoon, welcome to Straight Up this evening. How are you?
Thank you again, Mark, and I would like to say a special good night to your viewers and to all the women that are viewing tonight. Let me say happy International Women's Day in advance, and I said to Miss Lawrence, I hope that we all be pampering ourselves in some way or the other tomorrow.
All right, Amir Mohammed, you are correct. It's a fact, and thanks, Miss Lawrence, for that as well. Thank you, Amir Mohammed, and let's get to Miss Lawrence. A lot of people are familiar with your voice. You're on the radio. You produced. You did lots of things at GBC. How come you got into broadcasting?
Back in the day, I got into broadcasting in 1981, but before that, I was involved in drama at Theatre Guild, at school, and so on. And it seemed to be a natural transition from drama, from the performing arts, from Theatre Guild, to broadcasting, because we had people like Pat Cameron and I can't remember her name now, but lots of people who were in the theater who went into broadcasting. So I thought it was natural. Let me try a thing. And at that time, the general manager was Mr. Terry Holder. Excellent manager. God rest his soul. And I did the audition in June 1982. And the rest is history. But I think it was a natural transition because it just, Ron Robinson in drama and also in radio. Lots of people. So it was a natural thing.
What exactly did you do when you started at radio, GBC? Was it into producing or you went on the air?
Well, I went straight on air, but back in the day, as an AP or an announcer producer, you had to have a certain amount of hours on air and a certain amount of hours producing because they tried to make you well-rounded. I was involved in the Link Show before then, and one of the characters I played was Marigold Saul, who did a program called Topical. That's how she did. She used to call announce the program. Welcome to Topical, and I I don't know if that was the reason or what, but when I went straight from into broadcasting, that was the program that was given to me. 9 o'clock in the mornings, Monday to Friday, I did topical. So that was a talk show, more or less, music and so a nice mix. And then I did production after one. Once you come off air at 1 o'clock, you went and you had to do production. You had to produce your music. Perhaps the APM, the assistant program manager, would assign you a documentary or a feature on the afternoon magazine program and so on. So it was a mix of uh, duties that I was assigned when I went in June 1982.
All right, lots of things here from Miss Margaret Lawrence. Let's head over to Vanessa Kissoon. GBC back in the days, you had your radio too, right? Running around in Plaisance. Your microphone, please. Yeah.
Yes, yes, Mark.
So, what do you remember about GBC, and who was your favorite broadcaster, radio announcer? I know.
Mm, I can't remember who was my favorite at this time, Mark.
Yeah, I know who are my favorites. I like back then BL Crombie because of how he read the news, and then when I started working at GBC, I liked Miss Margaret Lawrence's voice too. I think she has a beautiful voice.
Well, I think I fell in love with Miss Lawrence's voice in my later days, not my younger days.
I also
Not
liked
my very young
Phyllis
days.
Jackson, and then there was Yulita, Anthony, and all those folks. And the only set of folks broadcasters I didn't like when I was growing up was they were the that announcement guys, the guys who read that announcement. I couldn't stand their voices, right? So, Miss Kissoon, you're a politician, you're a teacher, and so forth. How you got involved in politics as a as a young woman growing up in Guyana?
Well, Mark, I always remember this story. I remember going on a tour. You know, when you're in primary school, we had a lot of tours back then. And one of the places we visited was the Parliament building. And I always remember sitting in one of those seats and this mic in front of me. And I closed my eyes and I said, God, I would love to be here one day. And so when I graduated from CPC in 2002, I headed to Linden, where I was placed at the Mackenzie High School. And from then, I met Denton Osborne and a few others. And we had Mark Hooper and myself, and we got involved. We started campaigning. Then we had Congress, and I got involved in the People's National Congress reform. It was through Denton Osborne, who at that time was recruiting young people for the PNCR. But I always remember I wanted to be in the parliament after that tour. You know, I don't know what it was, but sitting at that desk with that mic in front of me, I I said to myself, and I closed my eyes. I always remember that story. And I said to myself, and I said, God, I would love to be here one day. And he did answer my prayer as a little girl, and I was able to be in the parliament and represent.
All right, and you represented indeed in Parliament, and thank you for your representation. I noticed the brother of Roger Moore is listening to us. Edward Moore, good evening to you.
Yeah.
And he's saying here, he's reminding us that Roger Moore was his brother. Miss Lawrence, how much do you remember? I know you remember a lot of things about the late Roger Moore at GBC.
Oh yes, yes. Roger was my squaddy because we entered broadcasting around the same time. Um, Roger had a fantastic voice. I am telling you, Eddie. Good night, love to you. Um, in fact, Roger, I think he would have been 62 years old last week or thereabouts. But Roger was such an affable person, and there was nothing that Roger could not do in terms of broadcasting. If you want Roger to read the death announcements, he will. change his voice, put on a nice somber tone, and deliver the death announcement. He would do the morning show. He would do the afternoon 1 to 4 if Pancho wasn't there or whoever. If you want him to go on an outside broadcast, Roger was always, always, always willing. And that is one thing I loved about him. He was a very dependable person. I was so sorry in his latter days when he got ill, and I was fortunate enough to visit him in London when he was in hospital, and we had a good time, uniting. But Roger Moore, beautiful voice, really nice guy.
Really nice guy indeed. He did lots of things. He read the news. He did that announcement, other documentaries. Edward Moore, a gem of a brother you had there. Roger Moore. Ms. Vanessa Kissoon, you have been teaching for almost 20 years now, or maybe over 20 years.
25 plus years, Mark.
25 plus years. You just got into teaching just like that? Or is it, I noticed Miss Lawrence.
Before I answer that, Miss Lawrence, thank you for reminding me. I loved Pancho Carew.
Pancho Carew did something in the mid-afternoon, and
he was best by request.
Yes.
Request.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Mark, I was birthed into the teaching profession. My mom, who's a retired head teacher, and she's now also teaching at a private school. So I want to wish my mother a happy International Women's Day. I love you, Mom. My sister, my younger sister, is a teacher. I had an uncle who taught at St. Rose's High, Philip Kissoon, and he, I don't know if you remember back in the days, they had what you call teachers exchange. He was one of the teachers that left to England from St. Rose's High. William Kelman, lecturer at the University of Guyana. That's my uncle.
That's my cousin. Hello.
Oh, wow.
Vanessa, we're cousins.
Well, he's married to we're family. He's married to my mother's sister, who has also, and my family, my aunts, I have aunts who are involved or used to be involved a lot with the exam division. And Calendar, I don't know if you ever heard, there was Francis Calendar, that's my uncle. He deceased now. He was a headmaster. His wife, my mom's sister, she also was in the teaching. Elaine Calendar, Gloria Glasgow, all these are my aunts and uncles. I have cousins who are also in the teaching profession. So I was birthed into the teaching profession. So for me, it came naturally. And as growing up, I always remember beating the steps. When you go to school, you come home, you have to practice what was done in the classroom. So and the one thing that we always did when you're practicing is licks like peas, Mark. All the steps, you're beating the teddy bear, the cushions, and you're asking them to spell, and you're spelling for them, and they're and so they, you're spelling wrong and you're beating. So I was literally, and I wanted to become a teacher. I always said I wanted to become a teacher like my mom, and I can tell you now, I'm watching my daughter, who I really don't want her to follow in the footsteps, but if she does, I will not stop her, because she started what I've been doing. She's always teaching and sometimes, but she doesn't beat as much as I did back in the days. So teaching is a part of me, Mark, and besides that, I love children. I love children. I love to impart knowledge. I love to sit and listen, because being in the classroom for so many years, we recognize that children go through so much, Mark, in the home, in the community that they live, and so on. So I really enjoy teaching, and I love it. I love it. I love it with a passion, and I will continue. I know the system at present, causing a lot of teachers to become a bit frustrated, and sometimes you hear us mumbling underneath, or we fed up and we want to quit, or we want to resign, or we want to come out. But I want to say to my teachers tonight, let's hang in there. I know that better is coming. Better is coming.
All right.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Can I
sure.
as an interviewer, cousin Vanessa. You
Yes,
mentioned,
Cousin Margaret.
oh, you mentioned just now beating and so on. What? Tell me about corporal punishment. What are your views on corporal punishment?
Well, because I'm at a high school, Comrade Lawrence, I don't beat. I'm a practicing social worker, and so I use different strategies to deal with my students. There are times when I will, as they would say, the students, this is their term. You bluff them. I'm gonna put two lashes in you, but we don't, we've not, we've gone away from that. There are times when children really do push, but I try my best not to beat. And so I use other means. And I find, like I said earlier, students are going through so much. And so we try to ensure that we sit and we talk with them. Because when they come, some of them are already coming out of an environment where licks is the order of the day. And then to come now into this other environment to have licks being the order of the day also, I don't think we will get the kind of results that we look for. But I can say to you, Sister Margaret, there's some days when I do feel like put some lashes, but I don't. I don't. Even with my own children now, my children really have to push me really to the limits. And I have no apologies for this. If my children at home, there are times when they push me, I do give them a few lashes.
Mhm.
But
All right.
You
Hope
know,
you
there is
will.
a school of thought. One of my mentors, that she firmly believes that the reason we have so much violence in our society, so much of domestic violence and so on, is because we beat our children, and we feel that the only way that we can solve a problem is by inflicting violence on someone. Because when you're done with the violence and so on, you beat them and they cry, and so you hug them up and you kiss them and all of that. So it's a whole wicked cycle, you know. So I figured
Well,
that's something for another.
I think because we're celebrating International Women's Day, and that is where the empowerment and the education and edifying of women comes in, and we need to, because we're dealing with mental health issues. Women are going through so much. We're seeing successes of women, not only in Guyana but across the world, but we still cannot forget or deny the suffering of our women. Women are still suffering. Women are still being not being treated equally. So we have to deal with that at that level, and we need to ensure that we empower women. And when I say empower, we have to educate them. We have to listen. Because, like I'm saying, children are coming out of abusive environments. Women are coming out of those environments. So I think and we say charity begins at home. But in order for that, we have to start there also. So I believe that we have a lot of work to do. And, I think that as women, and I liked, and I want to quote Michelle Obama this time, as she said, as women, I quote, we must stand up for ourselves. As women, we must stand up for each other. As women, we must stand up for justice for all. Michelle Obama. And so, in order for us, we have to first understand how we can stand up for ourselves. And then we'll be able to stand up for each other. And instead of pulling each other down as women, we have to learn to empower each other. And, we hear something about our sister, not to go out there running and pulling her down with another sister, but being able to help to build that sister and educate her and empower her, and do it in there are different ways in which we can do these things, not in ways to embarrass them and to make them feel a lesser of a person and all that.
Okay.
So we have a
Yeah.
lot of work to do.
Yes. Gender equality for a sustainable tomorrow. That's the
Break
theme
the
for.
bias. Break the
Yes,
bias.
break that bias. Yes.
I can sit back and have Miss Lawrence take over and ask a few questions. It's Women International Women's Day tomorrow. Miss Lawrence has contributed tremendously in that country. And so, not only in the theater, but also as a broadcaster and other things that she has done to mentor young people. Uh, what was it like growing up as a young person, as a little girl back in your time, compared to what you see now, Miss Lawrence?
Aha. I tell everyone I had a beautiful childhood. My parents weren't well off, but the whole power of an extended family not only your neighborhood, because it takes a village to raise a child, also in the church. I grew up in the church. We had a wonderful group at church, at the Christian Brethren Church on Camp Street. I want to say hello to all all the people who were there at my time. But the fact that we did things together, there were always activities. You went to camp, and because you went to camp, you learned so many skills. I did drama at camp. We learned to cook. We learned to do handcraft and that sort of thing. Growing up was just a lot of fun. Um, I know days of going home and didn't have anything much to eat. Your mother would fry up, because we used to call it fry up. This thing used to taste sweet because it was the rice and thing fry up with enough onions and so on, seasoning and things. And this way going back to school, you had lunch and you're going back to school. When you come home in the afternoon, somehow she would bake some buns or something. But it was such a beautiful environment, and people in the church helped each other. I remember every Easter, Sister Tessa Haywood would give me a lovely white hat. It was those little things like a bandeau, but made of feathers. Every Easter, I could look forward to a new hat. And the sisters in the church and so on, they took particular care of you. And if you do something wrong, they go back and tell your mother. It's worries. When you went to school, the teachers were so, I figure like you, Cousin Vanessa, they were so caring. They took a lot of time with you. You could go to them with problems. You had a guidance teacher. I don't know if you still have that now in school. We had, it was such a nurturing environment. I was a little wicked child. I used to do a lot of little wicked things and so forth.
Really?
You were like
Really?
Mark. You were like Mark. Mark was like you.
Continue. Welcome to the club, but continue.
I was a wicked child. I remember being a member of the choir in church, the Better Gospel Choir, the Gospel Heralds, and I'm sure I was suspended about 10 times while I was in there. But it was just a lot of fun. Going to camp at Goshen Camp was just beautiful. At school, we did plays with Mrs. She's now Mrs. Vic in Sonali. She was Margaret Carey at the time, Pat Carey at the time. Yes, Pat Carey. She's now Pat in Sonali. We had some really great teachers, and I just cannot remember not wanting to go to school. Whether you had one pair of shoes, I had one pair of shoes that I wore to school, and then on Sundays I wore it to church. And I remember I was so embarrassed one day. One of my friends said, "Y'all is the same shoe you just wear to school. Use wear to Sunday school." I said, "No, no, no. It's a same kind of style, but it's not the same shoe. But it's the same shoes. You have to wear it." When you had your yachtings, you didn't have the proverbs. You used Blanco. I don't know if you guys know about Blanco. Mark, you know about Blanco? Cousin Vanessa? Blanco was a little white cake, and you wet it, and you put it on your yachting boots, and it gotta go in the sun. And God help you, you can't sit down and lay jam nobody, because that white coming off and the foot coming off on the uniform and so on, because your parents couldn't afford to buy propers, whitening for your shoes. But regardless of all of that, we had a lot of fun at Bishop's High School, I'm telling you. And I thoroughly enjoyed my childhood. That is why I say I am so sorry for the young people nowadays, and I try to do my best to assist in whatever area I can, because they are not enjoying their childhood. If you don't, they grow up too quickly. Childhood, and Cousins Vanessa, you're a trained teacher. You know all about child development and so on. Children must be allowed to be children, to enjoy the amenities of childhood. And when you grow past that stage, you can't look back and say, "I wish I did this, I wish I did that." because you have experienced what childhood is like, and in childhood it helps you to develop all sorts of traits and personalities and morals and all of that. So I think that is something that I fear for the youths nowadays, and sometimes we blame them. We say, oh God, the fighting again, and the fighting and the stabbing up and so forth. But why is it? Are they not being nurtured? Are they not being hugged? Are they not being shown the love that that they have to experience this anger? And they put out that anger in the ways that we try to we scorn and we look down upon. So it's as Vanessa was saying, we have to nurture our children, whether you want to beat them or not, because you feel frustrated that they're not doing the things that you are exposed to. So I think it's more love, it's more compassion, more listening to the young people that we have to do, and we are not doing it. So I'm sorry for being so long, but it's just that I feel so deeply that I have enjoyed such a beautiful childhood, and I think the children of today are being robbed of that enjoyment.
Right, you can take all the time you want, Miss Lawrence, because what you're saying is the truth. Growing up uh, a long, long time ago is totally different from now. Your days in school, Miss Vanessa Kissoon,
Well,
uh,
I oh, go
compared
ahead.
to now, compared to young people now, but mainly young girls. What is
Well,
it? What are the differences you're seeing?
one of the things I'm seeing, Mark, is I think back in our days, we had, as cousin Lawrence said, it took a village, to raise a child.
Well, let
And
me let me let me
back
just
in
let me just pause you for a quick minute there, because it does take a village to raise a child indeed. And back in those days, everybody got licks from the village and were disciplined. But I'm so happy tonight that you both are with us as we prepare to celebrate International Women's Day tomorrow. I'm also happy that I was able to have Miss Lawrence find herself a cousin. So people might be wondering, Miss Lawrence is saying cousin Vanessa. They just found out that they are related. Continue, Vanessa. I just thought I may remind our listeners. Wait, seriously, you guys never knew that there was a relation?
No.
no, no. I know that I'm related to the Kelmans too. Like I said, Mr. Kelman is married to my aunt. So, and when even in marriages we pull everybody, it's one family. So
Yeah.
I'm here with my big cousin. So I'm
Go ahead,
loving this.
cousin. You were talking about that village that it takes to
Yes,
raise a.
Mark. Yes, and so we had that when I was growing up. I had that, and when you did something either at school or on the road, you're afraid for your parents to know. You don't want mommy to know you misbehave on the road, or granny especially you misbehave on the road. The difference now is I found that parents, and we have a lot of these Bible prophecy things coming out where we have the younger parents because of the age. Parents are young people are having children young. And so though they themselves are young, and discipline is a big thing for them. Mothers are coming into the school. If the school say that you can't have a certain hairstyle, the mother coming to find out why you can't have the hairstyle. Instead of saying to the child, some mothers, but I'm looking at the difference. And so parents, if their children are being disciplined at school, not necessarily lashes, they have to serve some detention or some punishment. In some cases, they may have to go home for 2 days, depending on what happened or what they did. Parents are even going all the way to the ministry, and then the ministry is coming and intervening and giving parents the upper hand over. So we have a whole breakdown in the entire system, and the communication and the way discipline is being meted out and all of that. And so you find now that instead of like when we were younger and we could have been disciplined, you could have been walking in the streets, and Common Lawrence, you would know, a Bishop's High School girl, you can't even eat on the streets in your uniform. You dare not be eating out of a bag with mangoes, or you dare not be eating an ice cream cone. Now children are allowed to walk on the road with their church's bag, and they're performing in the uniform on the road, and they feel when they're on the streets, the teachers can't talk to them because they're not in school. Well, I have a rule is once you're wearing the uniform, Mackenzie High School, I don't even care if I see you 12 o'clock at night and you're with your parents and you're behaving in a manner that I think is not fulfilling of that uniform that you're wearing along with that monogram or that badge, I will speak to you. And even if I have to speak to your parents. But you see, because of the way children are being given this upper hand at home, and so when they come into this environment, there's some children tell you plain, Miss, me mother don't talk to me. So Miss, me mother don't beat me. Miss, in fact, some parents are coming to tell teachers, you try that with he. Miss, look, I fed up. You try that with she. Me never no more, and so in my days that didn't happen, Mark. Listen, you are so afraid because if it's a pot spoon, wherever come to granny hand or wherever come to whoever home hand, the older person that your guardian, you it's run for you, and don't run from the legs because they're waiting 2 days after they're remembering and you're getting a lash to be reminded of what you did. And we grew up to be disciplined and so on. But now, they say it's violence and you're beating out. And we have a young generation of parents. Parents are young also. That's something I think we're overlooking, that age gap. And so these younger parents don't believe that you should talk to their children. And like I said, they believe in some cases, you're seeing it that giving children everything they need and telling them they're right when they're wrong, they think it's love. And so that is why, Cousin Lawrence, we can have all this violence out there. And my granny always told us about this story with a young boy who his mom encouraged him to steal. And when he was eventually caught and in the court, I think she said, I don't know how true, but your granny always had a story. And that child, when that child was sentenced, because he was no longer a child, he's now an adult facing charges, and he bit his mother's ear, bit off a piece of the mother's ear, and he told her, if you had only corrected me from since I was a boy, this would have not happened to me. So, and like I said, I think it's a collaborative attitude we need now and collection, and that's why at any forum, I will tell teachers and I will tell my parents, the school, there's a body that is called a PTA body. And that is the body that runs the school. It says Parent Teachers Association. It's a collaboration and we have to work together. And lots of times if we do that, I think we will see difference in what we're seeing, different than what we're seeing today. So, Mark, it's really a big gap, and I think one of the biggest issue is discipline. And how do we? Because one person might say, "Oh no, you don't have to discipline them, and you shouldn't do it." Then we have too much of. We're not collaborating. We're not working together on those issues. So, and then we have a lot of single parenthood, whether it's mother or father. We know that mostly we see the statistics showing that we have a lot of single mothers. Having to care for their children, and cost of living is going up, Mark and Auntie Lawrence. Because Lawrence, we just came out of a pandemic. Now we're seeing a war where we're seeing women and girls have to flee their homes, and leave their fathers or leave their loved ones behind to fight and not knowing if they will see them again. So there's so much that is happening and that is going on out there. Like I said earlier, we have so much work to do. And in order for us to break, yes, and to sustain, as we talk about in the team, yes, so
I agree with you. I agree with you on the PTA aspect because parents must know that they can play that part as well. And I myself, I was a part of the PTA when my older son was attending Queen's College there. I was a part of the PTA for many years. And what I observed is that when there were PTA meetings, parents hardly turned up, And, but let us. You are correct. Back in the days, my day at least, there were teachers. A lot of them loved me. was an angel in class. Miss
Look
Lawrence
at
was a
that
great.
smile, Mark.
Yeah, let us head back to Miss Margaret Lawrence, right? I noticed Keith Michael Austin is on. Lots of
Yeah.
other folks from GBC they're on, but Keith Michael Austin was actually saying that he's tempted to tell people what he used to call you at GBC. I, I don't know what it is.
Go right ahead. He's the only person who called me Doris. No, he
Ah,
and Alex Graham and the late Eugenie Harris. Is that what you're referring to, Keith? He would
probably
call me
Doris.
Doris.
Why Doris? Or we shouldn't get into that. Probably Doris would.
Doris was the character I played in Owl and the Pussycat. Um, it was a funny play. It was one of my better plays. So that name just remained with him. I don't know why it made such an impact, but he
Come
is.
on,
If I see any mail comes up and it says Doris, it is either
you know
Keith
it's him.
Michael Austin or Alex Graham.
Or maybe there was somebody when Keith Michael Austin was a little boy growing up. There was some old lady that put licks on him named Doris. You never know. You just
No,
never know.
wow, I don't know.
Yeah. But I want to
But
ask you
what
this question, Miss Law.
yes.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Good night, Keith. I must say that I was proud to work alongside Keith Michael Austin at GBC. He loved jazz and loves cricket, and he was one of the role models at GBC, also mentoring some of the young ones. So, Keith Michael, good night.
Keith Michael, Auntie Doris is saying good night to you, and Auntie Doris is saying good night to everyone. Let me ask you this. Young broadcasters, are there a lot of, especially females, a lot of young ones, a lot of females getting involved in broadcasting? And what is your take on the young broadcasters?
Yes, we do have a fair amount of young ladies. Um, I think we are lacking in with training. Huh? Sometimes how do I say this nicely? There are some young people who will want to hear when you want to correct them, and some people who develop an attitude, and you say, "Well, I don't think I could go any further with you." You're sitting listening, and then you hear some pronunciations that really freak you out, like simple words like WAR. I just hate it when people say war or warf.
Oh,
W A.
we grew up in war.
I
War.
can't take war. Oh, and warf. They're simple things, and it's so easy. When we were being trained as broadcasters, we were always, and I'm sure you remember, Mark, that you listen to the international news. BBC is always on, and sometimes you listen to Voice of America or what have you, but the BBC, of course, was the hallmark. And particularly with people's names, you would listen to the BBC to get the right pronunciation. What I find now, people don't have the time to do their research. I don't know, like for instance, the news is a big thing. The radio is supposed to entertain, inform, and educate. And people back in the day, I don't know if they say it now, would say, I heard it on GBC, say, gotta be correct. I heard when Mark Benchcop read the thing on the news, say, gotta be correct. But Bob Mark Benchcop won't read the wrong thing. He said, war, he calls Zelensky name wrong, he called all kind of thing wrong, and the people are hearing and they repeat it, and it becomes the norm. You know, it's like I won't repeat that story, but but they need to know that not because you are on air that you have arrived. Everybody becomes a prima donna. You know, you have to learn every day. Every day I am learning, and you must have your dictionary. And you get to the Google. Thank God it's easier now. And there's Emma. Good night to you, Emma, your daughter. There's Emma on Google who gives you some easy pronunciations. So you have to ensure that you keep au fait with what is going on with world news, how people's names are pronounced. If somebody calls you And I know Mr. Moses Elias calls me and he offloads on me. And I said, Mr. Elias, I can't help you. You have to call the manager or so on. He said, but you listen. I said, yes, I listen. I understand, but there's nothing more I can do. I can call the people, and if they want to hear or if they want to listen, they will, they would accept my call. But not everybody does. Sometimes you want to call them twice a day, but you can't do that because it infuriates you as a broadcaster. Like I ain't saying nothing right, that kind of thing. But I think it's how you put it over. But training and monitoring too. Monitoring is very, very important because sometimes we put people on the air and we think they have a beautiful voice, and most of them have very good voices. And then you don't, and you leave them alone. Back in the day, Christopher Dean listening to you. You better get it right. Yulita Anthony is listening. Phyllis Jackson is listening. Pat Cameron, they're all listening to you. James Sidney, they're listening to you. And when you come off and they tell you, what did you say? Could you pronounce it? Is this how it's pronounced? You can't go back on here and say the thing wrong. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to accept criticism nicely, but I wouldn't even call it criticism, a critique, which is nice, how you put it over, and also girls or experienced one in the business, you can't get down on them and say, yes, what stupidness, you already said that yesterday, man. I can't listen to you no more. You have to know how to deliver it, how you speak to the people. So I think the young broadcasters, they have the talent, they just need to be monitored, and the training must exist.
All right. Tonight is a peaceful night. It's not war. It's not war tonight. It's a peaceful night. Right? Yeah, Miss Kissoon, go ahead.
I want to add to what Cousin Lauren said, but not in the broadcasting arena. But one of the things I noticed, we have a lot of shorthand writing now. So when I send text messages, I don't do shorthand. But for the life of me, at one time, I couldn't figure out SMH. And I know if Mr. Solomon is watching, he would know we would laugh because we were wondering what was SMH. And then
for those older folks to understand what SMH means, it basically means same mad house, right? SMH.
Shake my head.
Mark, yes, you have LOL. I couldn't. I had to. My children are the ones who help me sometimes with some of these these shorthand stuff. And I heard one of the English teachers saying that young people are writing applications and they're writing U for Y or U. They're so accustomed now to writing in this shorthand, and that is one of the things that we have to and for them, Cousin Lauren's pronunciation is no, it's, for some reason the war apparently sounds better. And I know somebody like yourself at Bishop's High School, Mavis Pollard, would have said, how dare you? What? War? What are you saying? The word is war. And she was so but even in the home now, you have to, I think that's what I'm saying. All of this, and I keep saying we have a lot of work to do, because when some children are home of no fault of theirs or their mother, the mom is out there, she's a security guard, she's working 3 to 11. The child is going home after 3 because the child has lessons, she just knows she got to leave the food there. That child goes home. That child is unattended because it's a single parent home, instead of the child being able to go or using the gadget or the instrument to go and do some Googling for some homework or so, it's texting, especially if they're teenagers and so on, the hormones raging, somebody whispering in their ears, and so the challenges are great. And one of the other things that's missing, Mark and Cousin Lawrence, the village is not raising the child anymore. And it's not that the village doesn't want to raise the child, but because of where we are in society now, you dare not speak to someone's child. The person coming at your house to cuss you down, How dare you? Who you think you be? She don't. I don't want Kissoon should think she's it. You know what I'm saying? So instead of them appreciating you, correcting their child or so, they're coming because they listen when the child goes home and say, "Well, Miss Kissoon," and not even Miss Kissoon, the lady say something. Instead of coming in some cases, I'm not saying all the cases because we still have parents out there, and I want to say to them, congratulations. You know, they're doing an excellent job despite their single mothers, despite the challenges that they're facing. We have women, and I want to applaud our women since we're on the eve of International Women's Day. Not that you're not doing a good job with Emma Mark, you know, you are, and you're doing an excellent job as a father, but we're dealing with the women here tonight. And I want to say to those women who are putting in the hours, who are ensuring that their children are getting what they have to get, and they're going the extra mile. I want to say kudos to us, and I say us because I'm in that category, Mark. I'm a single mom, so and we still have mothers and out there and women out there who putting in the extra effort, and they're trying to live up. And then we have this other aspect, Mark and cousin Lawrence, and these are things we miss. These are things we miss in society. So you have two parents separate, right? So the child goes at daddy for this weekend, or the child is with mommy for this weekend, or whatever, however the arrangement. And so you have different standards. So when the child comes back home, the child is coming either with something different, and it might not be a positive. Then the child is hearing all sorts of things of the other parent. So the child is also in an arena, and where that child is confused. The child can't focus in school because mommy banging about daddy, and when they got daddy, daddy banging about mommy, and daddy says when you must say thank you, and mommy saying no, you don't say excuse me. And so we have, because we now have this separation, the parents. And so parents now, they're not holding one head, though we're separated. These are our children. Let's come together and raise them. We fighting, our parents fighting, and so the child is left there. And that's another aspect that we have to take into consideration.
Certainly another aspect, another important aspect indeed.
Excuse me, Mark. I want to pick up on something you said there, Vanessa, cousin Vanessa. Good night, Emma.
She's gone, but thank you so much.
Okay, so there is a parent. Her son went through university selling pizza. And that is such an amazing success story.
Yes.
A single parent.
Let me say this to
yes.
Not to cut you, cousin Maggie. We all have cousins now. Not to cut into you, but I recall, and not to take away from that guy's progress and what he has done. I read that story, commendable, and I salute that young man. But I remember a lot of young people back in the days too would plant, sell cassava, sell bora, sell black pudding, sell plantain chips, and so forth and so on to make it through school. And well, of course, in those days, UT was free. But I recall that story of that little boy selling pizza, and I salute him for that. But continue. There are lots of other stories like that young man, single parent home. Yeah,
they need to be made known, Mark, so we can talk of those.
You were making that point with that guy with the pizza, but I'm sorry that I recall lots of young people growing up on the quarantine and so forth. You couldn't see their fathers. You don't know where they were. They were either off in Linden, some were off at in Suriname, wherever. But lots of young little boys and girls were also out to fend for themselves. But the village helped them at that time. But your point again with this pizza guy, please. Sorry.
Yes, my point is that sometimes we use this thing of being a single parent as an excuse. I would love to interview that young man's mother to find out what propelled her, what motivated her. Why did she do what she did? Because sometimes we say, oh, I was a single parent and nobody helping me. And so on. I think it has to do with your mindset. What goals did you have for yourself? What goals do you have for your family? What goals do you have for your child? Because the minute you see that story gone viral or whatever we call it, I am sure he is going to be aided further, or he was aided further. And I think he was, because I think Nigel was part of that group that assisted. But I think we as women, you talked about empowering ourselves and so on. I think empowering ourselves, be independent economically. I think there are opportunities, regardless of whatever is going on in the economy. There are things that we can do to empower ourselves. Um, Even if we get together as groups of women, and as you said when you opened the statement, when you opened tonight, cousin Vanessa, instead of pulling one another down, let's push everybody up. Because when you go up, when you pushed up as a woman, you are pushing me up and my children and my grandchildren, all the girls. And I think that is something that we are lacking. Women have to come together. It's not that we are minus in the men. We understand that the role of men and so forth in our society, and all the projects and things, or most of the projects that are being done now, is empowering the women and dealing with the violence against women and so on. But the men are part of the equation, and we have to involve them. Have to involve them in violence against women, because there is something. What is it that makes a man angry, and he wants to hit out at a woman and so on? And when we check it back, it's the one word: it's respect. When men feel disrespected, that is when they hit out. And I know we as women sometimes, being angry at a situation, whether it's the stressors in the society or the economy or whatever, we disrespect a man. And once you do that, we have to realize that we are also part of the reason why there is violence against us. Not saying that a man should hit a woman. There is nothing would make me condone, but men must be part of the equation. And we as women must stand up for each other. You said it early. Instead of pulling everybody else down, instead of a woman pulling a woman down, if a woman has done something that you feel in your perspective that it is not right, okay, you might be able to talk with her and say, look, this is what I feel. Why so. Some people might want to listen to you, some people don't want to hear it. But you, in your perspective and your standards and so on, what the body doing it right? But in their perspective, what they're doing is quite right, because they're doing whatever they're doing to survive. You know what I mean? So it's like a meeting of minds. But nowhere can we pull them, because if you disrespect a woman, you're disrespecting yourself.
Exactly.
Well said, Miss Margaret Lawrence. And again, I thank you so much for your contributions over the years, whether in broadcasting, whether it's theater, whatever you do, whether you play the role of yourself, Margaret Lawrence, or Doris. Thank you so much for your contributions. Now, in closing, I know Miss Vanessa Kissoon, I'm not really here to talk about this specifically, but you're also running for that position. I think if you do win, that you'll become the first woman to be the president of the Guyana Teachers Union. Is that correct?
No, I don't think so, Mark. I think Miss Avril Crawford. I can't remember the year, but I think Miss Avril Crawford was there before, if I'm not mistaken. But what I can say to you, for the past 15 years, we had males. Well, I know for sure, or 15 to 20 years, we had males dominating, or as president of the Guyana Teachers Union.
Let me take just because I noticed the operator is signaling me, and Miss Lawrence knows what happens when operators do signal you.
Is
If
that
you
Lennon?
don't, if you
Mark
don't
Lennon, the
prepare
operator?
to, if you don't prepare to sign off, is war, right? War. Why should teachers vote for you, Miss Kissoon, to become the next president of the Guyana Teachers Union, and the first woman after a long time, long absence? Sorry.
Well, Mark, I believe that as we have seen for the past years, teachers, and not only myself, but teachers across this country, I think it is time that we come together and we must be able to raise our voices at the way we're being treated. And if you notice of lately, the government apparently wants to get involved in everything of the GTU. And even to an extent to say who they would like to engage at the level of the executive, or who they believe teachers must vote for or elect to be the president of the Ghana Teachers Union. And we have seen for many years now that teachers have not been respected. Their rights have not been respected. We have seen in all cases they've been working in all sorts of conditions, and more so after the pandemic. We've seen not only teachers and nurses who are majority females in the front line. And then now after this pandemic, we were even put out there to work during the pandemic. And I believe, Mark, as me vying for the presidency, and you know that I've worked across the divide, I was able to work with persons at all levels, bringing people together, even yourself, Mark, as a social activist, even trade unionist Lincoln Lewis. I've worked with Mr. Sharma Solomon, former regional chairman, Region 10, and councillors, the ordinary grassroots members of my community. Even as a teacher, you know, I've been out there, whether in season or out of season. And I've been there, whether I know some persons know, even when, as you want to say, my government was in power, I was out there representing teachers on the front line. And I believe it is time that teachers get the type of representation that will bring about change that teachers desire in so many areas. I'm not going to list all the areas, but you know, one of the things some of the things we have to deal with is being able to collaborate, you know, being able to work together and to achieve our goals as teachers, the work environment and all these things we need to be able to look at. And I believe that my years and experience, because I know, and I would have been in an environment, and I would have worked before, and I would have dealt with those in authority. And so I know and I understand who we're dealing with. And I believe that, as we said before, tested, tried, and proven, you know, I have that ability. And when it comes to negotiating, you know, being able to sit and negotiate on behalf of teachers and negotiate and ensure that we get the things that we negotiate for. I think it is time also, not just me, all teachers, we need to have our voices heard, and we need to stand up for the way that we've been treated. And at this point, I want to say, I said it last night at a forum, that after being elected is not to be served. A lot of times people are elected and they want to be served. But when you're elected, it is to serve. And I know, Mark, that I once elected by my colleagues, and I want to say this to my colleagues and teachers all across Guyana, and I want to thank those teachers in every region that have been supporting me. They're on the ground. They've been campaigning with me. I'm not going to call names tonight. They know themselves. And I want to say thank you for the support for those teachers that nominated me. I want to say thank you because, you know, they expressed that confidence and that trust in me to represent them. And I want to encourage us, because this is the mother of all elections to the Guyana Teachers Union. And I want to encourage my colleagues. It is time that we stand up. And I want you to cast, when you go out there, to cast your vote. You know, you have to, and I want to say to my colleagues, fear will not get us anywhere. You know, Mark, and there are times when you have to, when you go to the table, we're going to have to protest at times, but there are other times, as I said to my colleagues before, we will have to sit at the table and negotiate. And you know, Mark, that we've done that before. We were able to sit and negotiate on behalf of Region 10. You were part of all these steps. You might not have been there in the room of the negotiation, but you were there. And I was able to work with yourself and others to bring together people and bring the community. And I believe as the president of the Ghana Teachers Union, I will be able to represent the teachers and the issues that teachers are facing.
All right, well said. Miss Vanessa Kissoon is vying
May
to
I ask
become.
a question?
Sure, Miss Lawrence, go ahead.
Yes. Cousin Vanessa, from what I have observed, there is a lack of guidance and counseling teachers in the system, and there is no longer, it seems, HFLE program. As the president of the GTU, how can you impact on that in your plans?
So, thank you very much for that question, Cousin Lawrence. But let me say to you, HFLE is being done in schools now. HFLE is also being done, I think, at CXC level. But what is not there, what is missing, and I've said that since my terms in Parliament, I've been calling for this. It's to have guidance counselors or social workers in schools, because remember, teachers have to do everything. And because we are missing that, we really need that. And like I said earlier, see, everything is now tying in, where you have children that are coming with all sorts of issues. Only most recently we had an issue, and children are still talking suicide, Cousin Lawrence. And so it is important for us to have guidance counselors in schools. We have there are schools I know that have periods set aside for pastoral care. Some schools are still doing that, where the class teacher, and I know other teachers, as they go to class, they will try to interact and bring in a little counseling and motivational talks with students. But remember, the teacher still has his or her content that they have to, and they have their plan that they have to execute, and their objectives and goals to achieve. And so that is why it's important. But HFLE is there, I must let you know. And the aspect that is missing is the guidance counselors within the schools. And so that is something that I, as president, will be advocating for, because we cannot have 2 and 3 social workers for an entire region. You know that one secondary school may have about 700 students. All right.
Yes.
And so to have just a few social workers within a region is gross inadequate.
All right,
So
we're
that
looking at
would
the
be one
time.
of the things that we will be
Thank you so much, Miss Vanessa,
negotiating
and
before.
we wish you all the best. We'll have you back before the conclusion of the elections. But this news just came in. Speaking of teachers and students, Florida teacher beaten and hospitalized after attack by 5-year-old student. Police say a 5-year-old attacked a teacher in Florida. All right, your
Wow.
closing remarks, Miss Margaret Lawrence, and directed specifically to women.
Thank you for having me on the program, Mark, and thank you for those kind comments from our viewers. I just want us to bear in mind the theme, which is gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow, and the campaign theme, which is break the bias. We are facing as women, regardless of what projects are in place, there's still a mindset that women are not equal to men. They're all jobs that women can do. We have exceeded and excelled in so many areas. I mean, a female mortician. I mean, you can't get better than that. A female mortician. Um, I just want you or us women to be proud of ourselves, the things that we have achieved, and we just have to keep supporting each other. Keep supporting each other. Even though we might feel that another female may not do whatever we think is right, there are ways and means that we can negotiate and counsel with them and talk with them and so on. But don't pull down each other. Don't pull down each other, especially in public. Don't go on this Facebook and say she's a this and she's a that, or she should have do that, and wherever he should have do she. And we do she is right and them kind of things. I mean, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna cut. So let's keep supporting each other and let's work towards breaking the bias. all the best to all women on International Women's Day tomorrow, especially the people in the purple. I can't forget them. My background is in the performing arts, so all you ladies in the performing arts, all you ladies in the broadcast fraternity, in the media fraternity, have a blast tomorrow. Let them pamper you, right, cousin Vanessa?
All the
Yes,
vendors and everyone,
yes.
domestic engineers and
Security
so forth.
guard,
Yeah. In just about 1 minute,
nurses.
in just about 1 minute, Miss Vanessa Kissoon, your message to young people, I mean, women in general, sorry. Go ahead. Your closing
Mark, thank you
remarks.
very much. And right, cousin Lawrence, the team. I like the team, and I want to say to us as women that we stand up for each other. We stand up for ourselves. We need to empower each other. And empowerment should not just be for a moment or a day. It should be for a lifetime, you know? And so that we'll be able to represent ourselves, represent our daughters, our mothers, our grandmothers. We've seen so many murders. Only lately, I think January 28th, the pregnant woman that was brutally murdered. I think she was stabbed to death, Loretta Simon. You know, I would want us tomorrow as women, wherever we are in our workplaces, we should take a moment of silence for those women that would have lost their lives, especially to violence. And let us continue to embrace each other. Let us continue to look out for each other. Let us continue to support each other. And let us continue to train our girls, you know, and not only our girls, but our sons, not only our daughters, our sons also, because they all have a role and we all have a role and a part to play. I want to say to all my female teachers out there, happy International Women's Day in advance to you. To my VWM women, I love you. I love you, my Linden Youth Corps peeps. I love you, people. All the young ladies in the Linden Youth Corps, I want to say to you, happy International Women's Day. To my beautiful daughter, Esinam, mommy loves you. My nieces, to all my cousins, especially Jamaicy, Pereira, good night to you. I love you. And to cousin Margaret, it's a pleasure knowing that we're related. So I
Oh
know that I
yes.
can pop in without an invitation now. And And so, Mark, thank you very much for having us, and to all your viewers, and to all the beautiful. I see the comments that are coming in. I want to say thank you for the support. Thank you for the encouragement to all the females watching your show tonight, Mark, home and abroad. Happy International Women's Day to you too, Auntie Deborah, Auntie Minette. You guys, you ladies know I love you, Mia and team. Love you, people. Happy International Women's Day to all my female students. I know tomorrow will be a day at school, but we're there to empower each other. We're there to lift each other up. We're there to support each other. Thank you very much, Mark, and to my beautiful mom. Um, my prayers that my mom, you know, that she gets well soon. I love you, Mommy Sandra. Stay safe. To my sister, my sister Annie, and to my other daughter, Shion. I love you guys. Thank you very much, Mark.
Are you
Well,
finished?
Mark, my
You're not. You guys are treating this program
Please give
as
my
best
love to
by
Emma,
request.
Emma and your beautiful wife.
It's the best.
Happy
People do the
International
best
Day
by
to your
request.
beautiful wife in
Yeah.
advance to Mark and to little Emma.
Best by request with Pancho Carew. Go ahead, Miss Lawrence.
well, my staff will
Eagle
not
to
excuse.
Karen Crow, come in. Eagle to Karen Crow. Eagle.
That's Basil. My staff at Marunda Incorporated, a very happy International Women's Day to you all.
All right, and
To
thank
all the
you.
female
We'll have a
teachers at
special.
Mackenzie High School too, Mark. Especially those at Lyshas and the home ec crew. Love you, people. HM and crew, love you.
UKR, LOL, UKR, LOL. You know, right? LOL,
Right,
laugh out
right.
loud. We know a thing or two, Miss
SMH.
Lawrence.
Right now your operator probably SMHing. Shaking.
Okay, I got you. Thank you all so much. Ms. Lawrence, thank you so much as well. Another time when you're back on the air, I'll tell you what I did when I was a court reporter there at GBC as well. I didn't make up a fictitious court story, but I'll tell you something else next time when you're on this show.
I hear you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Margaret Lawrence. Contributed tremendously in the field of broadcasting and also theater as well. Back on the current TV, we say theater. As you get older, you realize that it's not theater. It's not film. It's not film. Vanessa, thank you so much and good luck also.
Thank you, Mark.
And vying to become the next president of the Guyana Teachers Union, the Guyana Teachers Union. Imagine how that will sound, President Vanessa Kissoon. Thank you so much. All right.
Good luck. Good luck.
Lawrence, thank you as well.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Just to let you guys know that Miss Margaret Lawrence actually told me that she can only be on for 15 minutes. But look who's the one that wanted to go on more. Look, she's still in the backstage. If you think I'm lying, 15 minutes, right, Miss Lawrence? 15 minutes.
I'm looking for the X to come out, but I don't know where the X is.
Thank you so much. You'll stay right there. There she is. She's gone. Thank you all so much, man. We'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. Tomorrow is International Women's Day. And Gabby, the host for the mid-morning show right here on 107.1 FM is Gabby Patram. She will be on with some female guests tomorrow morning, along with selector DJ Andre on the mid-morning show with Josh and also with Earl. All right, so we'll be back. Thank you all so much. All of you, every single one of you. I appreciate your time spent with us. God bless you. Pray for Guyana. Pray for Guyana. Lots of things trending. I don't know, some break my heart. Sorry. Lots of things trending and not so good things. Negative things. I don't know. When you guys go to bed this evening, as I would do, pray for Guyana. Pray for young people. Pray not just for females, but pray for males as well. Just pray. Heard while I'm on air that there's a fire somewhere in Lusignan or wherever. Pray for Guyana. We just got to pray for Guyana. Lots of things indeed, right? Lots and lots of things. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless you all. So long.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockacrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockacrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockacrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. The naga jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come.